Good morning, good morning, good morning. And this is the day that the Lord has made. And let us rejoice and let us be glad in it. Welcome to Hope TV. I'm Dewey Smith. I am the chief hope dealer here at the Hope TV. And it is a privilege uh, and a blessing and a pleasure that God has granted us an opportunity to provide you with a daily dose of hope. And I'm so excited you tuned in. I really, really am. To everybody who's tuning in, good morning to you already. I already speaking. Vicky Tolliver, Miss Dixon, Christina Jackson. Listen, so glad to have you here with us this morning, and I'm blessed to see you. Everybody who's tuned in today, whether it be Apple TV or Roku or Twitch, or Amazon Fire TV, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, whether it's the edewysmith.org website, whether it's the House of Hope Atlanta website, whether it is the Hope TV, HTV Now website, and also our newest streaming edition, our West Point Church. Some of you know we launched another ministry in the pandemic in West Georgia, and we're grateful to God for our House of Hope West Point Church. And we're glad now we're now streaming through that website as well. That's www.hohwp, which is House of Hope West Point. So we're grateful that God is allowing us to grow even during times like this. So thank you for tuning in. So good to see each of you today. Tina Jackson from Fort Valley, thank you for your support as well. Good to see you as well. Drop us a line. Let us know the city, state, and country from which you're viewing. We take your viewership very, very seriously here at the Hope TV. We have added another broadcast, two other shows rather, this week in our fourth season of the Hope TV. And we're thankful. I mean, now we have a cooking show that started this past Tuesday, and it will air on Tuesdays and Saturdays. It's called Cooking with Flavor with KL, Keith LeCount, who's a wonderful chef and has certainly blessed us with his food, our team at House of Hope, and so that show is on every Tuesday and every Saturday at 11 a.m. on Tuesdays and 1 p.m. on Saturdays. And we also have a new show now with the gospel music organization called Gospel Buzz, and where it's a very powerful show. It aired this past Monday. Those who love gospel music get a chance to see what's happening with the award shows and different gospel artists are highlighted there. I think you're really going to enjoy that. So welcome, and those new shows. Good to see you, Dolores Major from Zachary, Louisiana. Bless you, and blessings to you. Good to see you this morning. Thanks for tuning in. I'm certainly just thankful and grateful to God to everybody who's been a blessing to us, and to all our staff and our team. We're excited. We have about 44 people on our Hope TV team. It takes about 44 people to pull this off. A good team. You saw the cooking show? Yeah, awesome, outstanding. And you can check it out again this coming Saturday at 1. And so we have a variety of shows here at the Hope TV. This is becoming a full-fledged network. Our vision is to have 24-hour programming, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And where people of faith and people who like entertaining faith and spirituality and positive content, you can just come here. You want to call it Netflix. A lot of people not even getting cable anymore because you can kind of get everything online, watch everything online, and so social media and the internet has changed how we consume content. You know, with Amazon and ABC Prime and Netflix and all those types of things, and so now we're gonna have our own platform. We provide content. You know, um, back in the day they had a clothing line that was called FUBU, uh, that was developed and created by African Americans. FUBU, FUBU, and that meant for us by us. And so the Hope TV really is kind of FUBU. It's for us by us, for people who like inspiration and good content. And so you better watch it. Thank you, Vicky Taufer, for watching the show and for our team. And I'm so thankful to all our producers, assistant producers, to all of the directors, to all of the videographers, those who do the web management, those who handle the graphics. It's a lot that goes into this, and I think you can see the quality and commercials and all different things that we're doing to really bolster this. And this has only been but a year we've been in it, so thanks for your support. Good to see you, Ruby Wilson from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Honored to have you with us today, all the way from Chattanooga, Tennessee. To God be the glory for you. We're going to get right into our lesson. Yeah, thank you so much, Geneva. God bless you, Geneva Stirrup. Appreciate you for tuning in and for your support as well. Listen, if you're watching through a platform that will allow you to subscribe, to like, to comment, or to share, please consider that. Please consider that. Thank you. That's right. That's right. That's right, Tina. So many creative people. If you want to get notifications, you can go to those particular platforms and you can subscribe. Whether it be, we want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, YouTube channels. That's Hope TV. That's my YouTube channel. That's House of Hope Atlanta, House of West Point. I want you to subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channels. There are at least 4 YouTube channels, as I said, we're on. That's the Hope TV YouTube channel. Good to see you, Gene. House of Hope Atlanta has a YouTube channel. House of Hope West Point has a YouTube channel, and I have a YouTube channel, Dr. E. Dewey Smith. So you can subscribe to all those YouTube channels and get notifications when we add content. You also hit that like button. That like button is so important in terms of helping us with our algorithms and our social media engagements. When you hit that like button, it really helps us to expand. And good morning, Sean Addison. Good to see you. And the comment button is also important. It helps us with our engagements, and also helps us with our impressions, our social media impressions, which gives us the opportunity to meet more people. When you do that, what happens is now we have advertisers that want to come to advertise their businesses on Hope TV. So all of what you do, that helps us with our algorithms and our back end information. So now we can get even more sponsors. So you helping us. You know, people can help us sponsor different programs, which helps us to actually invest more into our content and our team. So when you do that, it helps us because people want to know, okay, how many people you're reaching. And if I advertise my business with you or want to come on your show or something, then I need to know what those numbers look like. So the algorithms, and then it helps us with the social media platforms because they put you in different areas. Sometimes it allows them to do more things in terms of ads based upon the likes and the comments. If somebody's watching something similar and we have enough likes and comments and impressions, they can kind of put some of our commercials and put some of our stuff for suggested people. That's how that works. If you watch social media, you're watching one thing, then something else comes up that's similar. That's based on the algorithms. So every time you hit a like button or comment, I'm just not saying that because we're just saying something that's helpful to us in the expansion of the platform. And then last but certainly not least, share. When you share that platform, when you share the link, that is exponential in terms of our growth. Because every time you share it, when somebody else watches it, then it helps us to get the word out. Then they can like it, they can be blessed by it, then they can share it. That's how we get that organic growth. So thank you very much. Good to see you this morning, Millie Huntley. Glad to have you. Hope you and John are well today. So I'm excited to have everybody here with us. So God bless you, and may God keep you is our prayer. We're going to continue doing it. We've been going strong this last March, and I was doing most of all the shows then. Now I'm not doing all of them, but I'm still doing a lot. And I hope you guys don't get tired of me because I'm on here at least 4 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Then I'm back on Sundays preaching. So it's a lot, but I just want to do all I can to provide that hope and bless people throughout this pandemic. All right, we've been going through the book of Colossians, and we're gonna get started today. Back with the book of Colossians, I want to jump right in with the book of Colossians today, and we've been talking about that book. I want to, for those who may tune in today for the first time, Colossians is an interesting book. Just give you a little background before I get started. This territory of Colossae probably was the most insignificant area that St. Paul ever wrote to. And St. Paul is the writer of the book of Colossians. And I really have an affinity with the book because the book is a book that was written to those who were now underdogs, I've always had a love for the underdog. And and the people of Colossae were really in a bad place at the first century. They were in a bad place because the whole territory has changed. It was once a flourishing. It was once a blossoming area. The wool industry and sheep herding were the primary source of the economy in the 4th and 5th centuries. Good to see you, Barbara Crushfield from Laplace, Louisiana. But now the economy has tanked in Colossae. It is not a travel hub any longer. It's not like a Rome or Jerusalem or Philippi or Galatia or even in Ephesus. It's at a very low trajectory now. Nobody want to go to Colossae. No money there. Insignificant. But yet, in spite of its insignificance, at the time of the first century, it was not a place people wanted to visit. It was not renowned. It was not popular. But still, God speaks a word to them through Paul, just like God spoke a word to Rome. Rome was the citadel of the Caesars. Rome was the empire of the whole world at the time. And Paul's ultimate desire was to get to Rome. That's where everything happened, in Rome. But it's amazing that the God who can speak to the beautiful place in the blossoming place of Rome also can speak to the burdened place of Colossae. And that just blesses me, just from a thoughtful perspective, that the same God who can speak to you in Rome is the same God who can speak to you in your Colossus. Whether you are blossoming and growing and having those high moments like you're in Philippi, or whether you're on the lowest rung of the ladder in Colossae, God reigns on the just as well as the unjust. And God can speak to you in your greatness, and God can speak to you in your gloom, in your grief. And even in those bad moments, God can speak to you. And that's right. That's what I just when you juxtapose those two. Good to see Jai Christina Jackson. That's right, Tasha. Jai just buried her father in there, East St. Louis, Louisiana, East St. Louis, Illinois, and she's on today. And nothing gets lower when you have to bury a loved one, a father, mother, a sibling, a child. Nothing gets lower. And I just want you to be on today, Jai, to let you know that even in moments like this, God can speak to you. And praying for you, your family, your mother, and everybody who's there in East St. Louis. And so that's the thing with Colossae, that God can speak to us everywhere. And God speaks to them in a down place. But what is even more interesting about this book is not only are the people in Colossae in a downward spiral and things are not very popular. It's not a very, esteemed place at the time of the first century. What also blesses me simultaneously about the book is Paul writes to the Colossians while he himself is incarcerated. And that really, takes the roof off. I haven't really dealt with that a whole lot in this, as we've gone through this book. But it makes more sense today as I get into the text today, that Paul writes to the Colossians. They're down. They're not in a good place, economically, socially, even spiritually. Got all kind of crazy false doctrines creeping up. Doctrine of Gnosticism. They're trying to tell people that Jesus didn't come in the flesh. Trying to say there was no real physical body. So, y'all make that up. There was no virgin birth. There was no incarnation. There were no miracles performed. He didn't die on the cross. He didn't shed blood. All that came out of that belief called Gnosticism, which also was happening there in Colossae. But then with the other end of the spectrum, what's going on in Paul's life? Well, Paul is locked up in jail. Most likely he's in Rome. And so what got me here is when you look at it from that perspective, unlike Philippi and the Philippian people, both of them in this context are in what we call back home a bad way. The people are in a bad way, and the pastor, the apostle, is in a bad way. Paul is going through terrible times. He's incarcerated, which is not the best. Neither are they going through the best. But what I love about that is not only can God get a word to you when you're down, like the Colossians, but God can also speak a word to you through you when you're down. So no matter whether you're in a bad situation, God can get a word to you. But also, if you're in a bad situation, God can get a word through you. Which means that just because things may not be going well in your life, God can speak to you. And if things are not going well in your life, God can give a word to you to give to somebody else. And I think that's one of the reasons why we can really be grateful that God can speak to you, even speak to you or speak through you, no matter what situation you're in, even if you're down. And I've discovered this, that sometimes it is in our downtrodden spaces of life that God speaks through you more. I talked about it yesterday in Bible study, and man, I was just so moved by that Bible study yesterday. And we'll talk more about it next week. But God's strength is perfected in weakness. And those of you who are watching right now, just because you're in a bad way doesn't mean God can't either get a word to you or get a word through you. Sometimes you get a word when you're in a bad season. It reminds me of the book of Ezekiel, when God took Ezekiel into a valley of bones. Bones which had been bleached dry by the unsympathetic Babylonian sun. And God took Ezekiel and set him down in the midst of the valley. And Ezekiel looked and he saw, man, it's dry around here. God set him down, put him down. And then God asked him a question, son of man, can these bones live? God spoke to Ezekiel, not on the mountaintop, but in the valley. God gave Ezekiel revelation, not when he was up, but when he set him down. Sometimes your best revelation and your best conversation comes from God, not when you're up, but when you're down. And sometimes the downward stuff is when God can show you that you can live. That God can allow you to experience a downward situation that you think is unsurvivable, just to show you his favor on your life. Lord have mercy. And often favor is found not in them. I didn't say this yesterday, but I wish I had. We think that favor, I don't want to get ahead of myself, go back to that, but favor is not just found in the material, the stuff. Favor is really found in the survival. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to get back to this lesson. Favor is not just found in the material, the cars, the cash, the clothes, the cribs, the comrades, the creature comforts. That's the material. The men, the money, the marriage, the mailbox, I talked about it yesterday. The Mercedes, the Maserati, you know, the motivation, the mentors, you know, that's that's the material. God's God is not best seen in the material. Favor is best understood in the survival. The best way to understand favor is not through the material, but through the survival. The fact that you survived it. Woo! The fact that you in some downward moments and God allowed you to be set down in some valleys. Things that you thought you'd never climb out of. It's in the valley. You know, faith, that's right. It's not in the material, it's in the survival. When you want to look for the favor of God and you don't see stuff, you don't see the material, look at the times you survived it, the times you made it, the times you went on in spite of the job loss, the survival, the time when the loved one died, the time when you had to raise a child by yourself, and you look back and look at the years and look at the moment when it first happened. See, it's not always it's not always in the stuff or the substance. Let me get back to this lesson. It's in the survival. And Paul is in jail and he's been incarcerated over and over and over and over again. He didn't have much material. But favor for Paul was in the fact that I've been able to survive. Favor is not just in the material, it's in the survival. And as he's in a rough moment in his life, he's been in prison, he's been beaten 5 times with 39 stripes. He's been shipwrecked 3 times. He's been in journeyings and perils in sea, in land, in wilderness, in cold, in nakedness, in peril. And looks at his life. Now he's in prison again. He says, you know what? Favor, I can write y'all this letter, Colossians, because favor is not just in the material. Favor is in the survival. And I'm going to move on and get to these points in this message. But I don't know who needed to hear that today. You're looking for favor. You don't have to look for favor. Look back at it. Woo! So you're looking for checks. That's the material. But if you don't feel favored by God, stop looking forward to your mailbox, which is in front of the house, and look back what's in your memory bank. Because if you look back over your life, over the things you have survived, the dry places you've been in, the valleys you've been in, the prison walls you've been in, and yet somehow, some way, you're here by the grace of God. Favor is not in the material. Favor is really in the survival. And because of that, everybody got, you don't have to have the material in order to have favor. And I just want to put that in perspective. So Paul, even though Paul is locked up, Paul is able to still write while he's in jail. Not because of the material, but because of the survival. Oh God, he said, because I'm alive to write. And he says, and since y'all are down, Colossians, and since I'm down, I need to reach out to you guys because y'all going through some stuff too. In Colossians, your money is down. You got all kind of false doctrines. Nobody wants to visit y'all city. Folks are teaching crazy stuff. He says, it's down for me. I'm in jail again. Jailhouse rocks. But favor is not in the materials and survival. And I just want to ask y'all a question. I'm surviving, even while I'm in jail. But I'm going to ask y'all a question. You got it, Tina. Favor is in the survival. It's in the survival. And he says, and so I just want to ask y'all one question. How's it going? How's it going for you? How is it going? He said, I want to explain that. And that's part of why he writes from jail, to let them know that favor is not in the material. Favor is in the survival. Isn't that good? Doesn't that change the perspective? My God, because some of us stop feeling favor when we don't have stuff, don't have substance. Favor, but you got survival. He says, so how, I want to ask y'all a question. How is it going? And I'm going to look at Colossians 4:7-9. We almost through with this book. And he says, my good friend Tychicus will tell you all about me. He's a trusted minister and companion in the service of the master. I send him to you so you can know how things are with us. Y'all see that? He says, I want you to let everything. He said, they'll bring together, although everything's been going on here. He says, I'm going to let y'all know how it's going. I'm going to give y'all a word. I can't get to y'all in person, but I got some people who've been here to check on us in the area. And I'm going to let y'all know how it's going. Yeah, I'm gonna let y'all know how it's going. Because maybe if I let y'all know how it's going, maybe it can help you to survive where you are. Maybe if you know that. And that's the question I want to ask y'all today. A great question I want to ask y'all today. How's it going? In this pandemic, 14 months later, how's it going? How's it going for you from your mental health perspective? How's it going for you financially? How's it going for you spiritually? How is your mindset? How's your drive? How's it going? How are your emotions? When things are not the best, how's it going for you relationally? How's it going for you career-wise? How's it going right now? How's it going for you spiritually? He says, I've been in some tough spots and some tough spaces, but I'm still favored because favor is not in the material. Favor is in the survival. I thank God for the material. I thank God for increase. I thank God for prosperity and blessings. But stop relegating favor to the material. Real favor is not in the material. It's in the understanding of survival. Woo! That'll preach by itself. And Paul says, let me tell you how it's going for me. And if I tell you that, I hope you can apply these principles. He says, the first thing, how's it going? The first thing I want to tell you is this. Rough times didn't ruin relationships. Lord have mercy. Rough times didn't ruin relationships. He says, even though I've been emotionally all over the place, I see, Tina, that thing got to you too. Because that's what it's in. God sustained you. It's in the survival. That's the favor. Stop going for the substance. We need to stop going for the stuff, for favor, and look back in the survival. And over and over and over again. All right, so Paul says, listen, he says, I'm in a tough spot in my life right now. I'm in jail, but I survived, which is favor. And let me tell you how it's going for me. The rough spots that I've been in, the rough times, have not made me not be relational. He says, I'm still emotionally centered. I'm not bitter. I'm not angry with it. Even though I was abandoned by John, Mark, and Acts. You know, me and Barnabas split ways. You know, I've seen a whole lot. I've been in jail in Philippi, and they were trying to make fun of me, trying to drive me crazy. He says, but let me tell you what happened to me. I didn't let what was facing me on the outside affect my relations with others. A lot of times I've discovered this with people. People don't do well in relationships and interpersonally because of some trauma they've gone through. Lord have mercy. I'm talking to somebody. Sometimes when you have been betrayed by people that you loved and let down for no reason by people you love, sometimes it'll make you be distrustful. And it will affect you so much when you don't get along with nobody. You've been hurt in a relationship, I'm done. What I love about Paul, it's really an emotional perspective and a mental kind of understanding, is that Paul here says, I still have relationships even though I've been in rough times. So I'm going to send Tychicus to you, my good friend. Yeah, right. It's so easy to become bitter. It's oh so easy. And particularly the fact that Paul's rough time started once he got saved. You know, you would think that all of the bad stuff he's gone through will want to disconnect him from anybody that reminds him of Jesus. Because all the pain and pressures he's gone through is because of his call. But yet he's still relational in the aspect that the rough times have not disintegrated his ability to be relational to other people. Some folks, I know, there are a lot of mean-spirited Christians. You'd be surprised how many Christian people can't get along with people. And if you are the person on the job and everybody got a problem with you, everybody ain't lying. Sometimes it is, sometimes our irritations and sometimes things we've gone through can make you become irritable and distrusting and cause you to disconnect And that's a sign that something emotionally is off. Something emotionally and spiritually could be off. But look what he says in that 7th verse. Put that verse back up there, Colossians 4:7. I want you to see what he says here. Very powerful what he says. In Colossians 4:7, if you put the verse back up there, he says, my good friend Tychicus will tell you all about me. My good friend. So I'm in bad times, but I still got good friends. That's favor. The fact that I'm still connected to people, here's what I love about it. This Paul says, I still got people who love me, even though I'm in the situation I'm in. You know, that's good, Tasha. It's time to monitor the heart. He says, I'm in this bad space. My times are bad, but my friends are good. I have not become insular. I've not crawled up in a knot in a corner where my mouth is shut. I'm not communicating. He says, I see God's hand on my life in the people who care about me and who are still friendly with me, even though I'm in this situation. Here's the reality. A lot of us, our friendships can be really defined by where you are in life. Here's what I discovered. A lot of people love you when you're free and you can finance them. A lot of people love you as long as they can get something out of you. But opportunity controls their loyalty. The moment they think they don't need you no more, they cut you off, they move and dog you. Paul said, I can't do nothing for them right now. I'm locked up. But the fact that somebody loves me when I'm down, that's favor. He says, he is my good friend. He hadn't cut me off. When people, think about how many people walked away from Jesus and Jesus spent time alone. He fed them, and most of them, John 6:66, the 5,000 people he fed, most of them went back. So as soon as they got finished eating, felt deserted and alone all the time. And loneliness can mess you up emotionally. Being by yourself, not having any kind of support system. But Paul says the rough times didn't ruin my relationship. I still got relationships. Let me tell you what relationships are. Bishop Jakes told me this many years ago. Relationships are the currency of the kingdom. Relationships are the currency of the kingdom. Sometimes your favor is in your relationships, not in your resource. Sometimes having a relationship will do for you what money can't. Sometimes the relationship will open the door for you. So he has not allowed what's been going on externally to jade him, that he can't see the goodness and see God's favor. If you got people who love you and with you and be with you no matter where you are in your life, the good, the bad, ups and downs, that's favor. Let me ask you a question. How's it going with you? How are you relating? Are you distrustful of everybody? Are you connected? Or are you just, I can do bad by myself. I don't trust nobody. I'm good. Me, myself, and I. You can't live this life by yourself. You cannot live it by yourself. There are some moments, there are some times when the roughness of what's around you can get inside of you and you see everybody through the same lens. But relationships are the currency of the kingdom. Don't allow the rough times that you experience to ruin your relationships, because you can act out bitterly. You can act out of your pain. You can act out in an unhealthy manner. And sometimes if you're not careful, we can run people away who love us because we're jaded. Don't allow the difficult times to make you run away the Tychicus of life, the Tychicus of life, the people that God, the Tyrones of life, the people that God has placed in your life. Don't allow rough times to ruin the favor that's in relationships. So how's it going with you? How's it going with your relationships? Okay? Who's with you? Why? Because that tells you where you are emotionally and spiritually. He still sees the goodness of his friends, even though he's in a bad moment of frustration, right? He can be frustrated because he's locked up, but he still has not allowed this to ruin relationships, all right? So how's it going? Rough times in relationships. Number 2, how's it going? He says, let me talk about the recognition that we need revival. He says, yeah, recognition that we need revival. Even in these times, he gives us the point that rough times shouldn't ruin relationships and recognition that we need revival. What do you mean, Paul? Just two more things. Let y'all go. Y'all give me 5 minutes. I'm gonna be out of here. I put that scripture back up there. He says he talks about revival. Now here's what's deep. He's in jail, but talking about revival. He's not talking about release. He's talking about revival. That's crazy. Paul here prioritizes release more than he prioritizes revival more than release. He's in jail not talking about release. He's in jail talking about revival. He says, because if I get revival, I got the release I need. Look what he says. He says, my good friend Tychicus will tell you all about me. He's a trusted minister. Look at that. Look how he talks about his friend. He's a trust. I can trust him. That's a blessing. He's a companion in the ministry, in the service of the master. He says, and I have sent him over to you, that you would know how things are with us. Yeah, I asked him if he go check on y'all, because he's coming to check on y'all to let y'all know how things are. I asked him if he stopped by the church in Colossae to minister, just give y'all a report. He's been checking on me here, and I'm gonna send him over to you. And here's what I sent him. I sent him over so he could encourage you in your faith. Woo! Paul is locked up, but says, I want y'all to be revived. I want your faith to be renewed. I'm not concerned about release for myself. I'm concerned about revival. Because if I get revival can help me when I'm in a rough time. Revival can help me when I'm low. But right now, your faith needs to be encouraged. Even in the most difficult times of your life, God saying, I'm praying right now that God revive everything in you. Revive dreams, revive your business, revive your aspirations. That right now, God's going to send revival. I want y'all to type that in the chat. God send revival. I got one more, and then I gotta go preach today, y'all. For Sundays, get ready for Sundays, all right? So I gotta let y'all go. I'm gonna give y'all one more point. So rough times didn't ruin relationships. Recognition that we need revival. Y'all with me? Very, very, very important. And I got one more thing I want to tell you. That is, thirdly, the realization of redemption. That's right, Vicky. It's a blessing to have trusted friends. The realization of redemption. He said, I want you to realize the importance of redemption. I want you to realize the importance of redemption. Paul ain't talking about release. Paul is in jail, but most times in jail you won't release. That's it. Paul is in jail talking about relationships, talking about revival, and talking about redemption. He's in jail, but his concerns are relationships, revival, and redemption. That's when you know you've matured. When it's not all about release, but relationships, revival, and redemption. Put that scripture back up. I'm going to show you what you mean redemption from. I'm going to show what I mean by redemption. Look what he says. My good friend Tychicus will tell you all about me. He's a trusted minister and companion in the service of the master. I've sent him to you so that you would know how things are with us. And so he can encourage you, give you some revival. Let your faith be renewed. Let your faith be lifted. Let your faith come alive again. Right? But look what he says about revival. And I've sent Onesimus with him. Now this is heavy. Onesimus is one of you and has become such a trusted and dear brother. They'll bring you up to date on everything that's been going on here. Now wait a minute. So first he talks about Tychicus, but then he brings in a new name. And that's where I'm gonna hang my point. Onesimus. Onesimus. I need to talk about Onesimus for a moment. There's a book in the Bible called the book of Philemon. It's called Philemon. Some people call it Philemon. It's really Philemon. It's in the New Testament. It's very, just one chapter. Philemon. Philemon. Philemon, people call it. That's a book in the Bible written by Paul. Let me tell you about that book. Paul writes to Philemon, who was a pretty wealthy guy who had slaves, had servants. It was not the cattle slavery that we had here. It was an indentured form of servanthood. had people who were from servants. Well, one of his servants was named Onesimus. One of his servants, one of his slaves, one of his indentured servants, his name was Onesimus. Onesimus worked for Philemon. Well, one day, Onesimus was around Philemon's house and saw some of value. And you let me imagine, y'all let me just put it in our time. It was some money, a Rolex watch with diamonds. Don't know what it was. But he stole something from Onesimus. He stole something from Philemon. Onesimus stole something. Stole it and then left. Took something from him and then left. And Philemon was looking for him. Because he's my slave, he's my property, he done left, he done stole something from him. I'm giving you the gist of it. Well, Paul heard about it because he and Philemon had a relationship. So Paul wrote to him and says, I know what happened. I heard what he did to you. But I need you to do me a favor, Philemon. Whatever he owes you, whatever he took, whatever he didn't do right, if he still owes you some money for something he stole or for his freedom, whatever he owes you, I want you to put it on my account. Whatever the price that he owes you, don't charge him with it. Put it on my account. Hold me responsible for it. And whatever Onesimus owes you, I'll pay it. Put it on my account. Woo. I'm trying not to preach here. So this guy Onesimus was a slave and a thief prior. When you read the book of Philemon, you'll see it. This is one chapter. Check it out. So he goes from being a runaway slave and a thief. Paul said something has happened in his life. He's not the same. Now, he still owes you, and there's a consequence for it. Whatever he owes you, charge it to me, and I'll pay it. I'll pay the price so he can be set free. Some of y'all sleep this morning, but I want to call that a post-Golgotha soteriological prototype. Because there's more people out there who can relate to Onesimus. I'm Onesimus. There's some other men who are Onesimus. There's some other Onesimus out there. Yes, that's all of you. Right now, we're either Onesimus or Onesimus. Onesimus. Yeah, that's some Onesimus and Onesimuses in all of us. Onemasita. Yes, yeah, that's who you are. Right now, every man, you're an Onesimus, every woman, you got some Onesima in you. That's a price had to be paid. We were indebted to slaved in sin, guilty of wrong. But when we were supposed to be held accountable by death, hell, and the grave, another fellow stood up. And one Friday, he went to a cross and said, I know Dewey owes you, God. I know Tina owes you. I know Jai owes you. I know Vicky owes you. I know Millie owes you. I know Tasha owes you. But whatever price they owed you, do me a favor. Put it on my account. Charge it to my account and set them free. And that's why we saying Jesus paid it all. All to him I owe. Sin had left the crimson stain, but he washed it. Paul, the same way Jesus said, put that stuff on my account, is what Paul told Philemon. Put Onesimus's wrong. Put it on my account. Now put that scripture back up there. There you go. So now you can see this picture, this scripture more fully. Put that scripture back up there. He says, now listen, my good friend Tychicus will tell you all about me. He's a trusted minister and companion in the service of the master. I sent him to you so you would know how things are going with us and so he can encourage you in your faith. Listen, and I sent Onesimus with him. So not only is Tychicus coming, but this time Onesimus is also coming. Just in case y'all heard some bad stuff about him in the streets. I sent him with you because now he is one of you. Don't treat him no differently. No matter what you've heard. I know he made some mistakes. He messed up in the past. But I'm gonna send him to y'all because he's one of you. He's your fellow brother. He's your sibling now. He's your brother in faith. And he has become a trusted and dear brother. And they'll bring you up to date on everything that's been going on. He says, just like I got redeemed and you got redeemed, now Onesimus got redeemed. And he's no longer a slave. He's now your sibling. He's no longer a fugitive. He's now free. And I'm sending him to you. And I want y'all to receive him. Because he's no longer running for his life. He's no longer running from Philemon. I took care of that. He's now been redeemed. He's now been set free. And even in his bad moments, God gave him deliverance and God gave him a victory. And I speak in your life today that the same way God set Onesimus free and redeemed him so he could be free to do ministry and to walk in his purpose. I speak over your life. How's it going? That God is getting ready to provide a release in your life that's going to take you to another level of glory. I speak in your life right now, hallelujah, that in order for you to get to this next dimension of faith, God's going to send relationships, God's going to send revival, and God's going to send a redemption that's going to take you to resources you never imagined. I believe that even in this pandemic, that God is allowing God is pressing the restart button. He pressed restart for Onesimus. I believe God is letting us restart some stuff. He's kind of reset some stuff. The last 14 months, I hear God say it's going to reset. That's what he did with Onesimus. He reset things. It was a reset. It was a restart. He reset Onesimus' trajectory. Shut it down to reset it. Whatever you owe, put it on my account. I'm getting ready to reestablish and reset your position. And I feel glory right now. And when I speak today in your life, how is it going? God is going to reset things, and God is reestablishing things. God is reinforcing things, right? And the things that God is reestablishing, resetting, and refocusing and restarting. What God's doing is God's going to send relationships, revival, and then a redemption. Many of us are going to find out that redemption came even over the past 14 months, that we were redeemed. That the last 14 months, God saved us from some stuff that we didn't know we were in. God saved us from some dangers we didn't even know we were in. Woo. When you come out of this, you're going to see a part of what has happened over the last 14 months, even all the craziness, God was saving us from some stuff that we didn't even know. But he's going to reset some things in your life. That you got it, Lily. Paul says, how's it going? It's going to go well if you understand relationships, revival, and redemption. The same way he reset Onesimus' trajectory, God is resetting you right now. I want you to believe by faith that this is my moment of reset. And when I come out of this, when we come out of this pandemic, it's reset. Something is reestablished. Something is reset. That's what he did for Onesimus. And I speak in your life, that's what he's doing for you. I want you to lift your hands and say, Lord, I receive the reset. Lord, I receive the reset. Whatever you're resetting, whatever you're reestablishing, whatever you're renewing, whatever you're reinforcing, I receive it. Whatever's happened, whatever you strip me from, whatever you show me, whatever, you are resetting some stuff. Help me to be aware of what you're resetting so I can walk with you and receive the reset. The same way he reset Onesimus, God is resetting you. I want you to receive it now in Jesus' name. Gotta let y'all go. I feel glory. Gotta let y'all go. But as always, remember this. If you'll be good to God, God will be good to you. Walk in your relationships. Ask God for revival. Look out for redemption. And give God praise for the reset. Because the last 14 months have been all about you receiving your reset. Don't miss your reset trying to revert. Don't revert back to what was. Allow God to reset you. Receive it in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.